Hey everyone, thanks for joining today. I'm Jami Gordon. I help people with selling and buying homes in Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, and the surrounding areas. And I'm going to continue on with the Passion and Purpose series. Today marks week 30 of my educational series, so very excited about that. But today we're actually going to talk a little bit about my journey in real estate and how that's, how it's all come together. So one of my biggest passions is education and also helping people understand what they're capable of doing. I have a lot of people that say, oh gosh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. And I'm like, why not? What are your doubts in your mind that you cannot accomplish those things? So I have a lot of those conversations every day. But when I started in real estate, this has never ever been part of my journey. I've never even thought about being in real estate. But when it presented itself, I had to reflect upon the experiences that I had in selling 2 properties and buying 3 properties, and the realtors that I had worked with at that time, and the experiences that I had. And being that I had done it that many times, I felt like I had a good feel for what things were missing. And there were a lot of things that were missing. I guess my expectations are completely different than what theirs were, and that's fine. But that really encouraged me to know that, hey, I can make it, and I'm going to be able to do this. So when I started in real estate, my husband had a 40-hour job, and he is a contractor, and he was working as a carpenter for a contractor at the time. And he enjoyed his job, but you could tell he didn't have a significant drive. There was something that was missing in him. So when he came home last year and said, my boss is retiring, not sure what we're going to do, I just looked at him and I'm like, you have been a carpenter for over 20 years. You have the talent. You can do this. You can do this. And he said, really? And I'm like, yes. Let's do this. I'm like, I need you to get on the phone and talk to all your family and friends. Like literally get on the phone and start talking to people, asking people if they need jobs done. And so he did that. And so it's all coming together. It's hard. It's really hard, not gonna lie. But when I started in real estate, he had a steady job. So we knew he was gonna get paid, every 2 weeks. We never knew when Jamie was gonna get paid. And there were a lot of unknowns. So it was a very risky thing for a younger family to do, but I'm glad we did that because it did teach us a lot about ourselves and a lot about other people around us, right? So I didn't realize, the investment it would take to get into real estate. So that's another thing that I would share with you is, if you're going to need around $5,000, truly, like by the time you figure out your expenses for school and signage and marketing and all those things. I mean, I would budget $5,000. You could probably budget less, but I think it's better to be a little bit over budget than under. You have the choices though through different brokerages that they can pay for your education. They can pay for a lot of those things. And then what they do is when you get a sale, instead of them giving you 70% of your commissions, they would give you 50%, or they might give you 20%. So for me, I just didn't like to have, I'd rather spend the money ahead of time and be able to see it recouped quicker, than have somebody else control that. So, when I got my license, I went out and I did, talk to a lot of different brokerages, and I went a lot by my gut and I prayed a lot. So I was like, gosh, Lord, just, help me really have a good sense of, if this is a good match for me. And some places I walked in and I knew right away. I was like, this is not the culture for me. I didn't know really what questions to ask until I had been in it for a while, which is super normal. So if that's something that you're thinking about and are like, hey, if you could tell me some of the questions, I'd be more than happy to share that. But after being in real estate for a little over a year, I realized that I was kind of outgrowing my brokerage, and there were some things that I needed that they were not able to provide at that time. And it was nothing against them at all. It was just that that's where I was in my career, and they had some things that they were working on and trying to figure out, and I just needed something different. So I got to go back out to the drawing board fairly quickly and figure out where I truly belonged. So I did target the ones that I had really good experiences with their agents, and also had done a significant amount of research on their businesses. And it was an easy pick for me to choose Keller Williams. They had a great package, along with the best technology and the people. I mean, the people was honestly the number one. The culture was great over there. It wasn't like, a lot of them were very competitive feeling when you walked in. And at Keller, everybody helps everybody, and I just liked that type of atmosphere to be part of. I think the challenges that were the hardest in the beginning were when you very first start anything, you really don't know what you're doing until you get some, real experiences under your belt. So having friends and family have faith in me, that was probably the first one that I was like, this is a lot harder than I thought it would be. But I just need to keep working. I need to work with strangers and be okay with it and treat them really well and talk about it, and it'll come along. And it did. I advertised on Zillow for that first year or so. And when you advertise on Zillow, you are buying a zip code. Well, you're investing in a portion of the zip code, and then your face is up next to the listings in that zip code, and there's a single phone number, and when somebody calls that phone number, it rings to that top agent, and if that top agent doesn't answer, it goes to the next agent, and so on and so forth. So you get a lot of random calls. Some of them are just like questions about the property, and if you don't know all of the listings in that specific zip code, it makes it pretty challenging, because literally I'd be driving down the road and I get a Zillow call, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I better pull over. So I'd pull over, and I would, and it would tell me what they were, what they were calling about. This is the address they're calling about. So I'd quickly pull up that phone number or that address, and then try to, get kind of the gist on it, and then start through kind of my pre-qualification questions to make sure that the person was actually legit. And then I did a lot of background searches after meeting with a few people that were very, very questionable, where I felt very uncomfortable. I learned to do a pretty intense background search on people so that I wasn't going to be putting myself in harm's way. I did have a listing where I had some really scary things happen, and God protected me, and I'm still here today, so that's good. So those are the things you learn along the way. So I stopped doing Zillow, and not only because of some of the things that I experienced with the people that I was meeting. I love meeting new people, so don't get me wrong there. But it was just, there were some that didn't have good intentions. But also those Zillow calls, I think Zillow became kind of a swear word in my house, because those phone calls seriously would come in at the oddest times, like in the middle of dinner, and we were trained that we had to answer those phone calls, and it just twisted my belly every single time that I would get a phone call when something important was happening. Reading my child a book in the middle of the night when I'm trying to sleep because I had a heck of a day. I cannot tell you how many inconvenient times that those phone calls would come in. So when I decided that I was going to build my business strictly out of referral, it honestly was super life-changing. Last year I did 90% of my business with people that I know, or somebody, one of their friends or their family members. And it was beyond rewarding just to be able to work with people that had very similar values, were fun to work with. And, some of them have become really good friends, and I'm really excited about how my business has grown. And also, I've had the opportunity to meet some other really, really good agents. So when I work with different agents, so a lot of times in a transaction, you have the seller's agent and the buyer's agent. You build relationships with those other agents, and you learn a lot about them. And some of them you're like, oh gosh, if I have to do another deal with them, this could be challenging. But that going in, after experiencing it once. But some of them, especially under my working through Keller Williams, I have access to a lot of different agents, which is wonderful. They're a big family. They're my family. So I've been able to build some solid relationships so that if I ever, which someday will, want to take a vacation that's more than 2 days, I have people that have really similar values and are just really good people that I've been able to leverage my business with. So we have a whole group that we meet on a weekly basis. We tell each other about, what's going on in our lives and what's going on with our businesses. And we have the ability to truly serve somebody in a way that we would want to be served in real estate. So I hope that you enjoyed a little tidbit of my story. I will definitely share more down the road. I have 10 minutes on my clock right now, so I'm going to wrap this up, but I hope you all have a blessed day.